This is just a little heads up for anyone that's not from New York. If you're on the subway and you don't know which train is going uptown and which train is going downtown, and you stand in the middle of the platform and block my path and prevent me from getting to where I need to go, it's okay. I forgive you. The subway is confusing. It takes a while to get used to. I've been here for years and even I still make mistakes.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. New year, new us. No, just kidding. New year, same us. It's the same bullshit. We are the Mattitude Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome to something that I didn't realize we had a stealth project going on, and I just didn't know it. It's like the Infinity Saga. Like, they kind of spring on you. Like, you're not just watching Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. You're watching the Infinity Saga, and our podcast turns out to be the Jenny Agutter Saga.
Motherfucking Jenny fucking Agutter. So I actually, that's in my.
That was I
that's
really
like my
you,
second note here. My second note. My first note is Sam Raimi wanted to make The Shadow. Second is Jenny fucking Agutter.
Same. I wrote Jenny. It's not my second note, but Jenny fucking Agutter is in there. How goddamn funny.
I hadn't seen Darkman in so long. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Been a while, and then I'm watching it. I'm like, is that fucking Jen? Because she's not Julie. She's not the Frances McDormand role. She's this doctor, and 30 minutes got cut from this movie. So I wonder if he returns to the doctor. I wonder if Agutter had more. It's like, you don't just get Agutter for this. You know what I mean? Just for her to explain the fact that she severed his nerves and drove him crazy. But yeah.
All caps. I have Jenny fucking Agutter with 4 exclamation points. I actually watched this movie 2 or 3 years ago when the 4K, the Shout Factory 4K that I watched again last night came out, but I didn't even realized that was her when I was watching. Again, yeah, like you said, very quick.
Well, you hadn't started the Agutter saga.
But also you and I hadn't been rewatching every single movie she's been in to this extent.
Do we pivot to an Agutter run instead of Raimi?
And what I'm saying is this is all Agutter. I mean, if we keep just watching, she just keeps coming up. How many movies did she do? I think that we're getting there.
I mean. Yeah. So anyway, and then we're just gonna do a whole because she was on Call the Midwife for like a decade, so we could just do a whole Call the Midwife run.
Every episode of Call the Midwife.
Yeah. I mean, the podcast realm is not an uncluttered space,
no.
But I do feel like we might be the only every episode Call the Midwife podcast if we did one.
The other day, I had a funny thought to myself, which was, "There's billions of people on this planet. But was I the only one who in the same day watched Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and Sentimental Value? Or was there someone else out there?"
Man,
be the same day.
Yeah, I mean, same day that you did it, or just on the same day?
I just mean on the same day. I'm even limiting. I'm opening it up.
But I think you were.
Probably.
Because in the realm of the eternity and infinity, no. Because that means that
now people can listen to this.
Happen. Yeah,
and now that people listen to this, they could do it. They could do it tomorrow if they want.
And they're like, you're no longer. And then they take away that specialness.
And wait till you see the thematic connections between these two films. They're there.
You know who else is doing January because of Send Help is Alamo. Alamo Draft House is also.
I saw that they announced that. Yeah.
So I would like to think we conceived of it first, but I know we didn't because they had to get all the marketing shit together. But we conceived of it separately.
Doing my side tangent here about people not understanding how anything works was how funny it was when early in December there was a lot of like, Marvel's ignoring Wonder Man. There's no marketing for Wonder Man. And then all of this stuff started to come out, which is all in universe. If people haven't seen it, it's very funny. Like, what behind the scenes of Wonder Man is not behind the scenes of the show. It's behind the scenes of the movie within the show. And there's an actors on actors parodying all the stuff you get this time of year, except it's Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery. All this very funny stuff came out. And inevitably that led to people saying, they heard our complaints and being like, that these were written, shot, conceived, and the exact rollout planned a year ago, if not more. That it was like, this is how
Yeah.
they roll up to the release, and that nothing was done because you said it. Just like we're always like when a new movie comes out and it seems to be similar to something from 2 months ago, and people are like, they just changed it because of that. It's like, no, that's not how
Yeah, they
things
just did
actually.
it. We complained and they did it. And they also made a full animated series in 3 weeks.
They did it. That's right.
So we're starting with, okay, so we already explained right at the tail end of the Avengers cast that we're doing Sam Raimi. We did the Evil Dead movies. We did the Spider-Man movies separately.
Yeah.
So we're doing we're doing Sam Raimi movies that aren't like, I don't know, because we're not doing the Oz movie. We'll just say that up front.
Well, we're not. I mean, we also skipped. Well, we'll talk about. We skipped Crime Wave,
We're
which is
skipping
his,
Crime Wave, which
yeah.
is technically his first non-Evil Dead feature film.
Yeah, we're not doing every one. We're not doing them
You know
all.
what? We're choosing what we want. So
Yeah.
starting with Darkman, who is the true enemy of the Dayman. And we're starting with a movie that, we were excited about. We saw, it came out in 1990, the heyday of our, adolescent movie watching. And I just want to draw right at the top here a few comparisons to a little movie called Hudson Hawk, which I just rewatched like 2 days ago. And
hey, you should recommend it on this podcast.
I should. If we still did recommendations during regular podcasts, I would, because I really want to talk at length about how much I like Hudson Hawk. But both, so I don't know if we could say both, both of these were in the wake of Batman 89. So there are similarities, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those movies in different ways, and we've already talked about Sam Raimi as a director. We could talk a little bit more, especially since we're doing a Sam Raimi run. When we did Evil Dead and we did Spider-Man, but like his love of slapstick, his love of comic books, his love of Universal monster movies, his love of like things that we would consider antiquated and cheesy and cornball.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes his movies feel like they were conceived of by a 13-year-old boy. Like there's a simplicity to them because of just who he is, B, how the movies he was raised on. There's a pulp quality to them, a simple quality. Like, yes, there's going to be somebody with nunchucks and a gang. It's just that was also very 1990. But
although that gang, what you're talking about, which is like the huge gang walking out of the warehouse. It feels. I mean, this is 1990, but the movie was made in '89, so it feels very '80s, like Beat It. But in turn, Beat It and this were all influenced by something like West Side Story or like, the gang all, but then you add the nunchucks and it's art. It's beautiful.
But the idea that like, there's a document that tells a bribe and like, it's going to ruin everything, which seems, and again, modern world has ruined us. That seems like the most innocuous scandal I've ever heard of in my life is that he made a bribe to the zoning commission. I feel like he's like, Julie, could you just overlook this? She's like, yeah, sure. That should have been the end of the movie. By the way. Right. But also both of these movies, because Hudson Hawk, I wouldn't call a comic book. Hudson Hawk is a cartoon, and both of them, they're in their advertising in trailers and in TV spots, tried very hard to hide the silliness.
Look cool.
Look cooler. Cool. And it really helps when you have voiceover man, right? When you have the guy just narrating and you get to choose what bits of dialogue go into the marketing, because they'll show Darkman crashing into the skyscraper, but they don't show him going, excuse me, and then like leaving. They don't show they don't show him running on top of cars, like, So, and Hudson Hawk was the same way. And they were but I feel like the whiplash with Hudson Hawk was much bigger. I feel like we were like, oh, this is Sam Raimi. We know what we're getting into in a certain regard. If we saw Evil Dead 2, Hudson Hawk was a complete like left field fucking like swing because like it is a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it like there is a full turning point in Hudson Hawk where you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you just go with it or you don't. Most people didn't. I did, but that's fine. Anyway, Darkman is sort of the same way too, though. I would say that there's also like, there's some really cool action elements here. And there's parts here where it's like, oh man, Sam Raimi has a great mind for just like big scale action. Mm-hmm. And so there's some incredible stunt work here mixed with also some really maybe purposely cheesy effects because of the way he, just say him being Sam Raimi. So
I think probably it's also the thing. So, we should say this is his first studio movie, right? He's done two Evil Deads and a Crime Wave, and that gets you a studio movie. But it's a limited budget. He doesn't have he's not being given a Batman budget. And I think, but the thing about Sam Raimi is he's not going to hide if it's your effects are not going to be like what people are going to get in the Mega in T2 to think of a movie that's open. He doesn't care. He'll be like, that's fine. It can look like an effect. It's still fun. And he'll just, he'll lean into
because there's a part of this movie, when Darkman jumps down in the factory and tackles the guy, it's this really silly looking, he dives headfirst at him. And it's this really, there's this green screen background and he just comes at you it's almost like a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
They could have just showed a stuntman jumping down on top of him and made it all real looking. There's a way of you attack somebody from a scaffolding and it just looks cool and real. And then there's the way Sam Raimi does it where it looks like a comic book frame.
Right. And
both movies also have guys in trench coats swinging a lot. So that was a big thing in this era. Yeah.
But of course, swinging, the fact that this is the guy who's going to go on to bring Spider-Man to movie screens finally, which is going to be this long thing to making that happen. And on a bigger scale, on a bigger budget, he shows, we already knew from the Evil Dead movies, but on this bigger budget, he gets to show what an interesting, clever eye he has. And there are very dynamic moments when he's running across the scaffolds above the building. And then the end when he's swinging from the helicopter, now it's an intermix. There are obvious blue or green screen shots of Liam Neeson, but then there's just a stuntman hanging from a helicopter and it's rad. And then the end of the movie, the fight on top of the tower, he does a bunch of Spider-Man style swings. And it's this is Sam Raimi doing his first superhero movie. He will go on to do one that is still seen as a defining moment in superhero movies. So it's kind of cool to see the sort of proto version of this all happen.
The late 80s were rife with grappling hooks and swinging and swashbuckling and just kind of dangling. That it was a big part of movie going. And Darkman, he wanted to make a Shadow movie and they wouldn't give him the rights to Shadows, so he basically made up his own superhero.
It's very similar to George Lucas wanted to do Flash Gordon and he couldn't, so he did Star Wars. If you can't get the rights to the thing you want, do something in the style of the thing.
Though it wasn't a obviously a landmark success like Star Wars, this was a franchise. There were two sequels.
Universal wanted more.
Unlike Hudson Hawk, this went on to The Return of Durant and one of my favorite sequel titles, Darkman Die. Or is it V Darkman V? Depending on if you ask Sideshow Bob or not.
If I knew prior to last night, I'd forgotten. They also made a TV pilot for Darkman. And what's great about both The Return of Durant and the TV pilot is Larry Drake's in both of them as Robert Durant. He kept coming back. There was multiple returns of Durant. We just only got to see one of them.
Sometimes they come back, and then sometimes they come back again. Which was the actual sequel title to Sometimes They Come Back.
Well, it's like I still know. The thing about the fact that Universal clearly wanted to do more is that it's interesting since it was this just such a huge fight behind the scenes with the test screenings going so poorly and Universal and everything.
There were a dozen drafts of the script and they cut things out and then they added things back in. Yeah.
The Coen brothers did unscripted rewrites on this movie. And the fact that, every test screening, because it was fucking weird ass movie. I mean, again, everything in it we've seen Raimi do, but it's super amplified here. This goes in Spider-Man. We talked about, there's the purposeful cornball elements of it. But here he goes so far into that. And he just does weird things in this movie. And because Robert Tapert, I saw say, ultimately this movie was never going to test well, which is correct. But Universal panicking and having the movie re-edited over and over and over again. That crazy story about the fact that Sam Raimi kind of walked away from it at this point, and then Tapert and one of their guys, an editor, at the very last minute did one final re-edit where they put back in several minutes of the movie, without either Raimi or the studio knowing, and it was
But
to
they'd
trick.
already cut the negative, and
It
it was
was
done.
well, they did it. They did it right before, so they
Yeah.
tricked the studio. The studio was understandably pissed because they thought they'd agreed on the final cut, and then they tricked them into basically going ahead with a version that had some of the things they wanted back in. But it is funny that after all that, Universal's like, "Oh yeah, let's make some more Darkman." After like the
Well,
insane
it
fight.
was a modest hit, you know.
No, made yeah. And
So
those
it did well.
those sequels being straight to video, which Universal, even in recent years, when they do stuff like Hard Target 2 and the Scorpion King sequels, Universal's always been very big on the cheapy straight to video sequels. You know, much cheaper budget, much lower budgets, but you can use your title. Land Before Time, I think, is the most famous because they made like 15 of those. But
I don't know. Every other day, I think I am bummed that we lost the home video and DVD or just DVD sales market as the second stream of revenue. Like as far as like movies that would be made because they know also if it didn't make everything back at the theater, there was the second life on the video shelves. You know what I mean? We don't have that anymore, and so now we're all borked. Okay.
Well, because I would bet anything that Darkman, which again was a financial success in theaters, but that it's a ready-made VHS movie, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm sure it rented like gangbusters when that was very important and can make you a lot of extra
Eric,
money.
I never rented Gangbusters. I would say that speaking of home video rentals in the 80s and 90s video stores, Colin Friels, who plays Lewis Stack Jr., the villain of the movie, there's also Batman Returns elements here. There's a lot of Batman in this because he's a hero. He's shrouded. He's scarred. He's warped. Stack is a lot like Max Schreck here, but Colin Friels is an Australian actor who was very prominently on the cover of a movie he starred in called Ground Zero, which was an Australian movie, and I saw that cover in video stores everywhere because it looked like a cool action movie. By the way, it's not. It is not what you think it is. But yeah. Ground Zero, Colin Friels, the face stands out in my head quite a bit as far as like 80s video covers.
Speaking of 80s video covers and Darkman, as we're talking about the marketing and, you know, maybe selling the movie tonally different than what it was, movie had a great marketing campaign, which was first the teasers, the Who is Darkman, which was everywhere. Like you pass construction sites. And what it was it would just say in big black letters with different colors, because they had multiple colors, a green, an orange, Who is Darkman, and a little silhouette, I think, of him. It got people talking. It got people making jokes. I think it was probably Arsenio. I remember a black comedian making, you know, an obvious but there for the taking joke about Darkman and that title. But people were talking about it. People were joking about it. People were pre-internet memeing, which was great because it got them.
Which
excited.
Was just words to your friends. So,
right,
yeah.
right. And then, you know, maybe a late night comedy late talk show host will take a joke. And then the final poster, which is that awesome poster of him standing with the fire behind him and his hands on fire. And it looks like a comic book, but it looks like a cool comic book. Like it looks like a comic book of the era versus what the movie actually is, which is this much goofier thing. Again, I'm not like, how dare they? I just think it was a good marketing campaign. And,
well, I'm so happy they strayed away from the original title of the movie, which was the Belisarius Memorandum.
Wait, what?
I'm joking. I'm just saying, like, that was the single piece of paper with the coffee ring on it. That's the bribe to the zoning commission that Stack doesn't even get rid of. Like, he doesn't even shred it or throw it in the trash when he, like, gets it by killing Peyton. Is just referred to constantly as the Belisarius Memorandum.
Right. And then
I'll tell you the moment that sold me on the movie. Obviously, I was going to be sold anyway. It was Sam Raimi. It was this cool looking thing. But the moment when the stuntman running across the roof jumps and that explosion is right behind him, and he jumps over that wall, such a amazing underrated stunt.
It's great. No, there's some
real explosions too. Again, we're talking about a lot of green screen in this movie, but the explosions were, you know, 80s, 90s real.
No, so. It's constantly intermixing with Liam Neeson in front of a green screen or blue screen, and then some stuntman nearly dying for our art. And then of course, I think this movie has two lives, afterlives, which is it's a cult movie with a legitimate fandom. And it's a curiosity because the stars of this movie became two highly acclaimed, notable actors,
Yeah,
And
and also Bridget Fonda was up for the role of Julie, one of the people who auditioned, and this means she could have met Danny Elfman way earlier in her life had she gotten the role, but that didn't happen. Anyway,
also up for that role was Julia Roberts, who at this point was already the ex-girlfriend of Liam Neeson. They were in Satisfaction together, and apparently had a very emotional audition for her with him, and they both agreed that she didn't want to do the movie. It was too much for her to work with her ex on this movie. And then her career went
so
to the crapper.
Raimi obviously wanted Bruce Campbell for the role of Peyton, and the studio said no because he's Bruce Campbell, and that's just what happens because he wasn't a known commodity.
Yeah.
But like, how known was Liam Neeson? He had been in things. Now, podcast wise, we've done Krull, right? So like, he acted throughout the 80s. A year before this, he was in a very interesting movie called Next of Kin, which was like a Patrick Swayze actioner about a Appalachian hillbilly who became a city cop who then has to like go to war with the mob using his Appalachian family. Liam Neeson playing his brother in that movie. And the Next of Kin is notable to me because all the action shown in the trailer for Next of Kin is Liam Neeson. Because Patrick Swayze doesn't do anything in that movie until the end of the movie.
Right.
That's the thing. It's all Liam Neeson trying to get revenge for his family until he dies, and then Patrick Swayze is like, "Well, I guess I have to do the third act now." So there you go.
I mean, so yeah, Neeson was in a bunch of stuff, including big stuff like has supporting roles and stuff like The Bounty and The Mission. The movie, when this movie came out, I didn't recognize him. I wasn't like, that's the guy from The Thing. Though The Thing I would have seen him in most recently because I'd never have seen Next of Kin.
Wait, not The Thing?
No, from I was saying
from A Thing, that's the guy from the movie.
But I didn't say that. But if I had said it, it would have been High Spirits, which I'm guessing you saw with me at Low City.
I did, but I remember nothing about it.
I don't remember anything about it, too, which is my point, except for the poster blatantly trying to make it look like Beetlejuice, including the font when it was not Beetlejuice. Although it is a Neil Jordan movie. But yeah, I think it just, he would still be for the studio. Bruce Campbell had only done micro budget movies that had made money versus Liam Neeson being like in the studio system at this point. But this is his first leading role. I guess that's the difference. Bruce Campbell had been the lead in movies that they were just cost nothing and were seen by a tiny but loving audience versus Liam Neeson being in a bunch of movies with big directors and big actors, just never given the lead until this.
I'm going to say that Liam Neeson is also just 2-3 years away from Schindler's List with this movie. So he does take a huge leap, by the way. So
for sure. And I think the difference here, like for
the Darkman bump,
the Darkman,
we call it that. Yeah.
For any of us who saw Darkman, it was like it was like, oh, that's like this made him in a star. I put in quotes. It wasn't like the biggest movie ever, but we're like, that's the guy who played Darkman, and he's in other stuff. And so when he's in Schindler's List 3 years later, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a versus Frances McDormand where I do think, Matt, there was because Fargo would give her like, I say breakout again. She was already working. She'd already done Blood Simple, but because Fargo would put such a hot spotlight on her 6 years later, there was a little more of like, oh yeah, she was the girlfriend in Darkman that I had to do versus Liam Neeson. Also,
at this point, she and the Coens and Raimi were living together when this was all in development too. So.
Yeah, they when they were young, aspired, like just getting started. She's married to one of the Coens, still is, but they were all roommates. Is this the only movie, Matt? Is this the only movie where Liam Neeson does an American accent? Because he's at that point, he's one of those guys that they just let him speak and they don't really explain it. Like, it's like,
no, he's always like Naked Gun. Like he's always talking in an American accent.
Okay, I guess
it's his American accent. It's his American.
Right. Oh, I guess I feel like the way he does it now is so different, and there's a little bit more of
I feel like this was him trying his first American accent
because it's not a good accent. It's that thing that a lot of it happens with a lot of British, Irish, Scottish actors when they do American accent, which is it's very flat to the point that it almost sounds like this weird Like there's something almost ethereal about it.
They go super nasally with it, and yeah, it makes it not only does it make their voice nasally when it's not usually, it makes their voice sound different than their actual speaking voice. It's
right, and
it's tricky,
and
yeah.
it's unspecific. It sound like, I mean, I guess you would say it's a Midwest, because
Usually
there's no
Midwest, yeah.
there's no specific nature to it. Because the other thing I'll say about this movie, I have a really good time with this movie. It's a lot of fun. I also wonder if the two great leads are miscast when I watch it, because it's like the tone of the movie is so weird and strange. And I especially think this about Francis McDormand, but Neeson to some extent, because I think he does at least embrace it a little more. It's like, and Francis McDormand has talked about being a little, uncertain of herself making making a movie, even though she was friends with Sam Raimi. The fact that he is so visual, which means sometimes he doesn't feel like an actor's director, like a lot of these guys, because they're all about like getting the clever shot, and her being a theater person, feeling a lot really adrift. I don't know if she ever really leans into the tone correctly. And it's a tricky tone. It's like,
well, what I'll say is that I think that at the time when we saw this movie, none of us walked out saying like, man, these people feel like Shakespearean trained actors doing soap operas.
yes,
Which is what they are. Retroactively, given the projects these people have done since, winning awards, doing like more acclaimed things, doing historical period pieces and stuff like that. Yes, it's like these weren't the right people for this, because they are doing soapy dialogue. They're doing very hammy, hard on the sleeve, Sam Raimi dialogue, like to be in a factory by yourself and say, they took my hands and cry.
Yes.
Like that's, or like, what have I become? Like saying things out loud in a very operatic way,
Yeah.
That's not what these actors do. They were trying something different. I didn't at the time think anything of it. But whereas when they went on to do it, like he did not go on, none of them went on to star in, further superhero projects per se, except maybe a Star Wars, right? So
although Francis McDormand does pop up in a Michael Bay Transformers movie for some god knows reason.
Sure. Well, I mean, so does everybody. So does any acclaimed anybody.
This is true.
Eric, I did not know that there was a Darkman Ash Williams team up comic book. Did you read Darkman versus Army of Darkness?
No, I did not.
Is that a book or it is a comic book?
Oh, it's a comic.
2006 comic book. Darkman versus Army of Darkness.
So
4-issue miniseries written by Kurt Busiek.
That's funny. There are a bunch of crossover comics, and I'll say this is for Evil Dead, but they're almost always called Army of Darkness, like, and we talked about Ash versus Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, but I know there's been a lot of Army of Darkness comic book crossovers, and I did hear that Bruce Campbell doesn't like to sign the Army of Darkness comics because he get a shit or no likeness rights deal, or doesn't get paid well from them, versus things that are Evil Dead. Again, the rights are all split up. Army of Darkness was a Universal movie, and that's why it's rarely in a box set with the other movies, and it's all complicated. So yeah, I think there's a lot of crazy. There's Archie Army of Darkness I see here. Yeah. There's all sorts. Xena. Oh, so that's another Universal property. So is Darkman. So that's.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about this. First of all, Peyton Westlake and Ash Williams team up when there's a dead-eyed invasion of the city. Again, just city. Because it's like Jigsaw City, where we don't know. We assume it's LA, but it could be New York, but it could be anywhere. And then during the adventure, Julie becomes accidentally the Deadite Queen, Eric. So there was a role for Francis McDormand there that just
there is Army of Darkness Reanimator. All sorts of crazy adventures have happened in the house. I was gonna say though, because we're saying how these actors might have been not the exact right as far as like getting this tone. Now I'm imagining the version of Darkman where Bruce Campbell plays Darkman and he plays Julie. He's just
just we already know from the end of this movie that he has a Bruce Campbell skin.
Yes.
I want to know, what do you think the actual tie-in here is between Darkman's disguises, the 3D modeling that happened in this movie, which is now something that can just happen in real life, and the Mission Impossible movies, especially because Mission Impossible 2 takes the exact same fucking trick that Darkman uses by
It
putting a
does.
duct tape guy inside of another mask, and makes him get killed.
Right.
Yes.
Holy shit. Fuck you, John Woo. No. That's a funny idea because I wrote down what a clever moment that is, and I didn't even think that you're absolutely right that they did that in that. It is funny because the Mission Impossible movies, the masks come from the TV show where they never explain them. Just they have amazing masks. The movies.
So that was probably a show Raimi watched, and then that influenced this, which then influenced the movies, and it was just it's an Ouroboros eating its tail, right? So
it all goes in a path. The other funny thing about the beginning where we're seeing him try to develop the liquid skin and
Ouroboros, not Ouroboros, sorry.
When he's developing liquid skin and we're seeing kind of the process, is when it's making the nose. I was amused on, again, low budget movie that it didn't seem like it was just one of those things that everyone had from the sharper image where you could push your face into those metal pieces.
And then
so I was thinking, this made me think about, because this movie has two like tchotchkes that were very prevalent back in the day on people's desks. One it's not supposed to be that, which is that thing you could press your face or hand. Or
it's like it's the little desk toy with the pins. Yeah.
And then the bird, the
drinking bird,
drinking bird, which I do remember that made a big impression on me. Like there's a little bit of genuine creepiness to the way it's used.
Again, especially when it's going super fast at the end when he bombs the bad guy, and like he tricks him with the hologram, or he gets tricked by a hologram, but then when he turns, it's already like bing bing bing. It's really fast. There is a hokiness and a childlike element here, like. Eric, there's a lot of tough cops in this movie, which is to say, like, he's like, when we meet Peyton in his lab/studio apartment, which at first I was like, wait, why did they go to his lab to get the memorandum? And then I was like, oh, he lives in his lab. I didn't get that part. It's been a while since I saw it. I swear they turn on a fax machine. I'm just saying, like, the buttons and knobs that they're turning here and plugging in and stuff, it all just feels like quote unquote technology. It doesn't matter what they're doing. None of the science speak matters. Nothing they're doing. It's all just movie talk. But I swear, like, there's a point where they turn on. It was like, I think they just turn on an HP printer, and it's supposed to be like some super. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when he goes to his burned out lab and he's like, "Oh, my work." First of all, he's able to recreate that, so he shouldn't be that upset. He picks up the monitor and like starts dusting it off, and I'm like, what's in there, buddy? Like, it's your monitor. Like, I don't think you need that. Your work is not in there.
We especially in 1990, because it was not an all-in-one thing that he was.
If it was one of those like Macs, that was just the monitor,
that's a decade later. It's too early for that.
So but the things in here are just like science. So it makes sense to me that part of the science did come from Bebop's from the sharper image. It's like right. They just went shopping. I'm surprised the little mini pool table, the billiards table, wasn't part of it too.
No one had the thinking about the other desk tchotchkes that were everywhere, where the balls that hit each other, the clack clack
that
clack.
Should have been part of it. That should have been part of like the sequencing. Yeah.
Right.
Also, he never talks about how, they're like, we're trying to get the tissue to be stabilized. And then he's like, it's photosensitive, which is like, it lends itself to the Darkman part. It's got to stay in the dark. But then it's like this leap to, oh, by the way, it also makes full heads of hair. That's a big part that we didn't get into when he's testing stuff, because he's like, I'm making my whole head. Like,
right. I also like that he does keep the bandages on underneath the masks. So
I also love that he also never changes the filthy rags that he like basically the rained on alleyway diarrhea on rags that he walked out of the hospital in, he will never clean. Will never get an infection.
So this leads me to I don't know if you happen to read like I did, because there was a lot of stories on the Wikipedia page about this movie come from a oral history from 5 years ago when the 20th anniversary or 30th anniversary happened in THR. and it's a very good oral history. And we certainly talked about it doing the Spider-Man and Evil Dead movies, that Sam Raimi, while he specifically loves to abuse Bruce Campbell, he also just loves to abuse his lead actors in general. And how we got to see firsthand, like, throwing trash at Tobey Maguire. Like, it's like he'll do it himself, but he certainly, if he can't do it himself, he wants his lead actors to, like, have shit thrown at them, like, go through it. So one of my favorite stories from the oral history was, and I wanted to talk anyway about Danny Elfman and the interesting part of his career this was, which is
just fucking throws potatoes at Danny Elfman.
Not quite. So Elfman, had started doing movie scores really with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He did his Brothers movie years before, and then he does a bunch of comedies in the late 80s. And some of them are bigger, like Scrooge, but some of them are like Hot to Trot or Summer School. But he's mostly a comedy guy,
including Back to School, which was great.
Or Back to School. And does Beetlejuice, which is still comedy. And then it's funny because I just watched a YouTube video where he was talking about how the studio was resistant to him doing Batman because he was a comedy guy until they heard the main theme. Like, Burton had him play it for them. But it is funny how Batman was such a seismic movie that summer 89 Batman comes out, and Elfman, the studio's not even sure, should we let him do it? And then it's such a big movie, and his score is so awesome that in 1990 alone, he does the score for Darkman, he does the score for Dick Tracy, and he's the score for the main theme for the Flash TV show. So now it's like superheroes, like, give him all the superheroes.
And those movies, especially Dick Tracy, especially the final fight and everything, felt very Batman. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with the score accompanying it, but also, like, a lot of people were just like, make this feel more like Batman.
Right. And this score is cool, though, because because the movie is a hybrid and there's this huge Universal Monsters element. So he gets to lean into that, too. And there's big organs and things that kind of lean into the classic Universal horror part. But my story I want to tell that he tells is that the night he met Sam Raimi, which is he was invited to the set of Darkman, and that Raimi, and he was excited because he was a big Evil Dead fan, and that Raimi invited him to set and he talked to him, and then Raimi says, let's put this guy to work, and then puts Danny Elfman in a raincoat, gives him a bucket, and says, when Liam Neeson comes stumbling out, throw water at his face because there's a car supposed to splashing water. So that was his, like, your hire is the composer. Now I want you to splash water in the face of the lead actor of this movie. That's Sam Raimi's fun.
So we're doing a thing now, and I know we've probably talked about it a few times on the podcast, of trying to streamline our conversations so that we don't now say, I would say normally at this point, let's get into the movie. And then I go from it to it like root to snoot, right? Like front to back, we go through the movie.
Root to snoot, I haven't heard that one.
Is that but now, you usually talk for like 30 to 40 minutes before we even get into the movie, especially if it's like a movie we want to talk about a lot, like those MCU movies and such, and then we wind up with like a 90-minute podcast. Instead, we're just maybe spend the whole time talking like this instead of like, and then pulling out scenes and moments. And you guys let us know, like, after we do this a few times, like how you feel about that, if it's a better for you. I don't know if you're like literally following along with the movie. I doubt that. I would hope that maybe some of you would like watch the movie before you listen to this, unless you know the movie really well. But we're just going to sort of talk about it, hop around, and not do it sort of sequentially.
Which, by the way, I also think
we've failed at this like for the year we've failed at this. So yeah.
But also, I'm like, I think there's a chance this could make him longer conversations.
It's possible, yes, because maybe that actual format was the only thing keeping us tethered to a reasonable podcast length. I don't know. But so the other thing about Raimi is that when he does Spider-Man, these are PG-13 efforts, right? These are like more family adventures, and it is a little also bizarre. Again, we know he does a lot of gore and horror, obviously because of the Evil Dead movies, but there's also still a juvenile quality to them. It's a mix of like a kid's TV show with like, absolute gore fest. Here, there's gore, action, and that childlike quality, but like mixed with rated R swearing too, which is the weirder part to me, which is like, you get these scenes that feel like they were written for a middle school play and they're so soapy. and then it's like fuck, and he's like, get that bitch out of here, and it just sounds, I mean, bitch isn't the end all be all of vulgarity, but I'm saying like there's this harsh language that doesn't seem to sometimes fit with it. He feels better in a PG-13 mold. Darkman could have existed in that space easily.
Well,
but
or I will mix that with the fact that obviously, the Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness is funny because it's rated R, but it feels barely R.
it does not feel R at all. Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 feels R. It's just that its gore is so cartoonish by design, so it still feels like I mean, Evil Dead 2 is a movie we saw as kids, and I think a lot of people who are not just like, obviously some kids are way more sensitive and just the world of Evil Dead would freak them out. But I think a lot of other kids will. There's a reason Evil Dead 2 is popular with kids because it's like the level it's operating at.
There's a difference between an eyeball popping out and flying through the air like into someone's mouth in a silly way than like a box full of severed fingers. Mm-hmm. Like I mean, even though that is still a heightened, bizarre thing, there are different levels of gore, and there's context to gore that absolutely makes things like where evil lurks gore is fucking disturbing and gross, but like Evil Dead 2 is like, let's bring the whole family. It's how much goop can you handle, really? Because it's like I would say maybe there's two categories of gore. There's a subcategory of gore which is just goop, and goop could be silly because it could look like ectoplasm, right?
Right.
Like it could be different things, or it could be gross and pussy and bloody and stuff like that. So, but yeah, his mix of tones here was also, I mean, again, the movie was a hit, so it did well despite the test audiences and stuff like that. And I also want to bring up the fact that the guy who plays Peyton Westlake going forward, which is, again, like you have a scarred, heavily bandaged most of the time hero. Liam Neeson did not need to continue in that role, and nor did he want to, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, these were because this was made for the VHS straight-to-video market.
Arnold Vosloo of the Mummy movies and of Hard Target and some other stuff.
Hard Target being produced by Raimi, so I'm sure that's kind of the connection there.
Played, one of the many elements that led to people's bisexual awakenings in the Mummy is Peyton Westlake in the next two movies. And Larry Drake.
Yes.
First of all, what can we say about Larry Drake that we haven't already said when we discussed at length Overnight Delivery, which we didn't do that. But
I was going to say on this podcast, I don't think
we did not do Overnight Delivery, but we will. No, we won't. So is at this time very much known for L.A. Law, which was a hit TV show at the time. Was that in 1990? How long did L.A. Law run?
I mean, it ran for several years, crossing 80s to 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it wasn't around when ER started, right? Like
it was literally ended. It ended in the spring, I think, because
didn't ER replace it?
It was 86. Yeah, 86 to 94. So it probably ended in May. ER was in September.
Yeah.
Yep.
As Benny, right, on that show.
Uh-huh.
And then also, if you're like, into silly, goofy slasher, he's Dr. Giggles in a couple films. A couple of those LA Laws went on to be silly medical killers because Corbin Burnson was the dentist. But yeah.
But specifically, we should say that the thing about Larry Jake on LA Law is that he was playing a very autistic character. He was like, helping out in the law firm. And he was very acclaimed for this role. He won 2 Emmys for this role. In a modern lens, people would question casting him at all. But he, again, in the 80s, they were not thinking about that. They cast him. He was great. He won 2 Emmys. But there was a concerted effort, I think, by him and his agents to not be typecast. So he started doing these campy horror villain things in the movies. Simultaneous to playing Benny was the idea that, and basically to prove to people I'm not Benny. That should be his autobiography.
Yeah,
it's like that. He'll show up in this movie
just playing something different.
Yeah, this real bastard, and who likes to cut off your fingers.
And I also want to say that sometimes in these movies, again, because you're looking at it sort of almost like a child's lens. Sam Raimi chooses things that are kind of cool until you actually think about them, which is like the leg machine gun, which is, Durant walks into this meeting with this other, he's going to muscle this other crime boss who apparently doesn't know who he is because he's like some new guy, even though Julie later is like, I know who Durant is. So she's more keyed into who Robert Durant is than this guy. I feel like, again, Durant has his key goons, some of whom, again, like are from Evil Dead 2. Uh, Everyone else dies. I feel like he walks in with 30 people and everyone dies. And this is considered a success in Durant's book because he has his 4 best friends or however many. Because his whole plan was like they frisk us for weapons, and there were nunchucks. Not only were there nunchucks on the gang they're going to see, but like there were nunchucks on Durant's guys too.
Bring your own nunchucks.
And by the way, let him keep the nunchucks. What are those gonna? What are they gonna do? Run at him with a nun? Anyway. Well, but then he's like, my plan is like I've snuck a gun in here, and it's the most awkward gun you'll ever see in your life, and we'll all still get killed, so it's fine.
Like, yeah, but that's the thing is like I don't think he thinks it's cool. He thinks it's fun, which it is.
Yeah, and yeah, also, cool / fun / yeah.
Because the funniest part of that scene is besides the fact that like they hit this insane machine gun in this guy's fake leg, is that he keeps hopping. That guy doesn't fall. He's great at hopping. Man, he's got some amazing balance, and he's hopping along defenseless while this huge gunfight is happening all around him. Also, I do love that the long-haired guy, one of my favorite things from the movies of this era, RoboCop is filled with it. I want to mention RoboCop later for another reason. The cackling bad guys. They love it. Mm-hmm. They love being evil. They love doing
and then the Sam Raimi trait of having his lead go crazy and dance in the same way that he dances in Evil Dead. Like he goes up and down like on his knees like he's doing squats a little bit, and then he puts on a silly hat. And this is just a Raimi trait of the going crazy graphics. How do we describe this? When his neurons are firing in his head, and like they've described that he can't regulate his emotions or his adrenaline or his rage.
But it's so like I understand the Green Goblin. There's some similar stuff.
Yeah, like and even when he's doing science, like the floating beakers and weights and measures and stuff. Like,
but here it's very obviously supposed to be very comic booky. It's very graphic, very colorful. But it's fun. Yeah, like there's those crazy like single close-ups of Liam Neeson's face and then explosions and red lines and it's very fun, but it's wild. I'm very curious what the few minutes they put back in Robert Tappert and that guy put back in, and like was it the dancing scene? Was it like,
I do wonder. No, maybe that, but I do wonder if it's actually just relationship stuff. I feel like if it's like literally like Peyton Julie stuff, like even the carnival date. Like, and again, that's such an antiquated thing that in the middle of a city, there's a circus with a freak show. Like that doesn't exist. It's fine. Freak.
But that's obviously a very fun scene, and everything with the elephant and take the fucking elephant. Yeah. But also there's that great, it's very funny and this still happens. Obviously, it happens in the Spider-Man movies, but when you get a real touch of Evil Dead Sam Raimi in the middle of another movie, and I think the big moment here is when what does he do to the guy? The Barker.
He like twists his fingers like they're made of rubber. Yeah.
And so they do that pan of the guy he's hurting screaming, pan to Neeson screaming in like crazy anger, pan to Francis McDormand
looking at the fingers,
screaming. And it's very funny and it's very Evil Dead. It's like seeing the characters one by one kind of notice this thing.
I wish they had also cut to the face of the elephant at that point.
I bet that happened. The only scene they mentioned that didn't make it in, as far as like, again, because there's like a half hour of this movie we never saw, and everyone said, this was a super Sam Raimi movie, even more than the final version. Super weird. Elfman at one point threatened to take his name off the movie because he knew the studio was changing the movie so much, and he was mad about it because he loved all the weird Sam Raimi shit. But they said there was one part with what's the villain's name again?
Stack.
Louis
Stack Jr.
It's Strack with an R.
Strack. Okay, that even more Shrekky. Yeah, like when I say Shrek, by the way, I'm referring to Max Shrek from Batman Returns. Not
so there was
not the beloved swamp ogre. Yeah,
right. There was although they're both named after the same silent
Max Shrek.
Nosferatu actor.
Yeah.
There was a scene where Strack, when he's still trying to act like a nice guy and woo Julie. And then we were going to go back to and they filmed this. They went back to his apartment his penthouse, and he's in a towel, like from a shower, but then he dumps a bag of gold coins on his bed Scrooge McDuck style, and then takes the towel off and gets it naked in the bed, rolling around on the gold coins.
I did wonder, that scene aside, which I'd never heard about, is if also cut stuff. Again, I feel like it was all corny relationship stuff, and not just Peyton Julie, but the Peyton Strack stuff. The Peyton Strack. That's my fanfic.
Yeah, Julie Strack.
The Julie Strack.
It sounds like there was more of that. Yes,
that there was, because like she says there was a guy who comforted me, but it meant nothing. Well, comfort, what does that mean? And then at the end, he's like, I know Julie intimately. So they were like boning, and like we didn't get to see any of this courtship. And
release the boning Strack cut,
but release the Belisarius memorandum. But also, I feel like, why would Strack is interesting. He's such a cartoonish villain, over the top. Look around you, look about you, it's all mine, from the trailer. He's so happy with his city. He's just building a city, and he's like the happiest guy in the world. And by the way, what did he do? He bribed a zoning council, whatever. Like, that's the least criminal thing I can think of. And
I mean, doesn't he even kind of say that to Julie? Like, hey, this happens.
He does. He's like, this is what you have to do to build a city. Right. I'm not trying to defend the billionaires of the world here, but my point is that you would think he's trying to seduce her because she knows something and he's trying to get her on her side, or there's some other ulterior motive. But here it generally just thinks like, hey, I like this woman, and he has no reason to comfort her. He killed her boyfriend, and he took her the Belisarius memorandum. Right. Doesn't need anything else from Julie, so maybe he actually legitimately wants to have a relationship with her. So there you go. And this is all. And the funny thing is that it all boils down to, in the end too, when what leads to the turn of the tide in the battle is he's like, she would never date a freak. And it all comes down to the relationship that's never focused on. Right.
I do. One thing I'm fascinated about, there is a moment in this movie that made me laugh so hard last night. One of those things I don't think
is it when he's spying on them dancing from the window?
No,
that made me laugh. Okay.
I want to know if there was more with Ted Raimi plays one of the team, one of the thugs, and
Rick.
And Ted Raimi is obviously in a lot of stuff, including the Spider-Man movies. People will recognize him. Nepotism, Sam Raimi's brother. But the tiny little thing with his tiny arc of Rick is that Rick is asked to kill the assistant and seems to be wary, hesitant to do it, of like kill him point blank, but he does it. And then Durant's like, great job. That's the way I like to, like, he said something about the method he killed him. That's his style.
Yeah, right in the brain or something. Yeah.
But then right before he gets taken, Ted Raimi, and killed in Darkman's Revenge, there's the funniest weird little moment at the party, which is they're at this fancy party, and Durant says to Rick, would you like a martini? To which Ted Raimi goes, yes, I would love one. As Durant goes to get him a martini, and then he won't get that martini because Darkman's going to get him. But it was just so funny because it's the evil villain saying to his henchmen, would you like a martini? It's just a funny thing no matter what. If you want to read some homoeroticism into it, either way, is like Durant's like, you killed that guy so well. I'm seeing you in a new light.
Well, there is a little romantic undercurrent to it all when you consider how mad he is that the bald guy, Paulie, is running off to Rio with Rick.
I feel like there might have been more little
there may have been more
there.
Also, I want 20 minutes of the 30 minutes of this movie that was cut to have been Peyton wearing a mask and going up to the counter and buying 2 first-class tickets. You have to do that in fucking person, by the way. So like he had to get these tickets to Rio. I don't know how he got the money. Maybe he sold his gross old monitor. But yeah, he had to buy these tickets. Also, they don't really go into in the movie. This movie also deals a lot with technology at the time. It was a visual spectacle to see the same actor looking in themselves on the same screen.
Yeah. Like
the split screen of like Durant seeing himself in the revolving door is really cool. But then there's even the long-haired villain at the end when, oh my God, these two are standing right next to each other and it's the same guy. Neeson is 6'4", so I don't feel like he could have like correctly emulated everyone on the team.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well,
that's fine. We don't get into
look,
that.
that's Ghostface rules about you put that costume
Yes, it's
on.
true. It's true. It doesn't matter if you're a 5'1" girl or like a 6'2" guy.
Once you
Yeah.
put that mask and cloak on, you are a certain build.
I like the Ghostface rules. That's absolutely correct. Okay. And then
Oh, I wanted to mention. Oh, so I mentioned RoboCop.
Very briefly, the way the villain is seen that would have happened normally is want a martini? Yeah, great. I'll take one too. That's the villain scene.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's the fact that Durant legitimately is like, I'm gonna get Rick a martini. Again, it's hysterical no matter what. Whatever.
Or he hates him so much he has to get away. He's like, anyway.
So I was saying, yeah, we were talking about the tones and the mixture and the R rating of it all. When Peyton is, like, put air quotes, he's not really killed because he'll survive it, but when they when he becomes Darkman and the Durant and his men come into the lab, and it's very prolonged, and it reminded me of the death of Murphy in that it's like they're sadistically torturing him, they're going out of their way to make sure he hurts before he dies. It's just that even though RoboCop is satirical and has a lot of great humor in it, Murphy's death is treated very serious and very holy shit, versus this being Sam Raimi. So it all also is goofy when he's getting his head dunked, and then there's the classic Raimi of every point of view shots of everything. So when they're smashing his face into those cabinets and it's from behind, we're seeing his head smash through. So it's again, it's this tonal mashup of oh no, they're real sadistic, they're hurting him, but it's also funny because it's Raimi goes to those exaggerated lengths at the same time.
A couple things there. The other RoboCop thing here is he's building New Detroit, but it's still a construction project. It's still we got to protect this stuff. Does he scream when we see him fly out of the explosion and into the river? Is he because that's silly too?
I'm 90% sure it is, which you just reminded me of. Bruce Campbell did more than just play Darkman in the final shot. He did a lot of ADR on this movie, and he has said basically anytime one of the bad guys dies, it's him screaming if they're falling. And he even ADR'd a couple of, when Liam Neeson wasn't available, he did a couple of Julie's and a couple of yells. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was him screaming as a flaming dark man.
Julie.
Flies out.
And it's also silly how good Strack is I used to work up here at the high steel, but he's this fucking soft shoe dancing pugilist up there. He's all of a sudden this guy fucking knows karate. I don't know. It's very silly. It's very silly.
It's very silly, and he's very silly, and it's very funny. We get a million times. Obviously, it's a cliche, it's a trope. Should the hero kill the villain, he's got him at his mercy moment. Now, usually, it's not unprecedented what happens here, which is the person themselves, but often it would be Julie who says, "Let him live," or "Don't cross."
Oh yeah, don't kill him.
Yeah. But I do think it's funny that this guy is such an asshole that he's "You can't kill me." He's so taunt, he is daring him to kill him at this point.
He's I know I just spent the last 20 minutes calling you a freak, but you know what? He's
and I know if you kill
me, you're really gonna be a freak,
right? And I know you killed all these other guys along the way.
Yeah, I know. And you, so having not seen this movie in a while, the lines that stayed in my head all these years are "Take the fucking elephant." That will be just fine. When he's trying to mimic Durant. That was, I don't know, that stuck in my head for some reason. The other one is, "I know, Rick, let's pretend you didn't." And shoving him up through the manhole so he gets squished by the car.
Right.
Those were the three things that stood out. Also, the Sam Raimi-ness here of, when Peyton comes back into Julie's life and he's "I was in a coma." I feel there were easier ways to do that than appear at the gravesite. Out of nowhere, maybe call her on the phone first and say, "Hey, let's meet for coffee. I'm still alive." Don't just show up.
He should have jumped up from behind the tombstone.
Yeah, boogada. Yeah, he's just scares me. But when they go to the carnival date, and the carnival is insane before he even goes crazy.
Yes, it is.
It's just a lot of close-ups of people laughing in distorted music video fashion where you think you're in a nightmare.
This place is fucked up.
It's a fucked up place, yeah.
Well, that's the thing about, yeah, again, it's like the people, I think, and maybe that is the problem with test screening audiences and stuff, and people who will wander in and aren't at a certain wavelength, because I think a lot of people did understand this movie is meant to be, even if the marketing was trying to downplay it. It's like when you're watching this movie, it's like it is so exaggerated, and yeah, the fact that it's like he's not just sleeping in an alley in the rain. He is like it's like the water's aimed at him. The box flies off him. It's like, that it's so exaggerated, which is what the fun of the movie is, and is obviously very, very Sam Raimi, but that it's just going that big with all these moments, like
I'd like to stand
Carnival
up
from Hell.
For the abandoned feral alley cat in the factory, which is that like he's like, oh my life, what have I become? Like he's saying everything out loud. Even when he goes into the old factory, he's like, home. Like, this is where I live now. This is me. Right. And he's like, he sees this cat who's a stray cat. It's like, hello, friend, and it hisses at him. I'm like, don't take that personally. Just like, you're a hideous freak, but like that cat is an outdoor alley cat. Like, it's going to not be friendly. So I wouldn't take that rejection too hard. I feel like he would do that to anybody. He would do that to Julie. Then the action sequence, and this is a thing, and I know I was a little bummed. Maybe bummed is the wrong word, but even back then when I saw this movie, I was a little upset that they basically give away a cool stunt and Durant's death, quote unquote death, in the trailer.
Yeah.
You see the helicopter go hit the top of the tunnel in the trailer. It's a big part of the action stuff that goes on. And they kind of give it away, and that's sort of like deflated it for me. But yeah, but how many heroes scream "burn in hell" afterwards though? So
that's true. And look, the debate over trailers showing too much is eternal, and we just talked about it on Avengers, where they showed a really cool money shot from near the end of the movie in the trailers. But it is very funny when going to the New Beverly, where they show old trailers from the 70s, to see those trailers where it was.
Oh, they tell you the whole story.
They tell you the whole story.
They tell you the whole story. Not only do they tell you the whole story, but posters used to have like 4 paragraphs on them that takes you through literally probably through half the movie. Like past the first act into the second act, it will tell you like, he's this, she's this, they just found this, now they got to do this. Can they? Like it'll will lay out way too much.
But
and people
often
don't give a shit. So
the trailers will these old trailers are so funny because they will show very much like, here's him going into the final battle, here's his final fight with the guy, and here's him saying the final thing he says before he kills the bad guay. And sometimes it'll be the final shot of the movie. Like it'll be in the trailer. Right. But I do remember what you're talking about. Speaking though of shots, when I rewatched this a couple years ago, the one that really stuck out to me, because I thought that's amazing, hysterical, wonderful. I love me a over-the-top crazy transition shot. I remember when we did Final Destination 3, the cut from the flaming tanning beds to the 2 coffins. Here, and it's very comic book.
The dissolve to the gravesite.
Yes, Frances McDormand looking at the burning building. Transition to her in full classic funeral black garb with the cemetery, obvious green screen. That's fine. It's so funny, so great, and obviously, but it's very comic booky. You could see those 2 panels, as a transition in a comic book. I remember saying, Trish, like, this is amazing. Look at this.
And this was on one of your dates with Trish where you just looked at slideshows of your childhood photos.
and I put a mark about that too, because slideshow. My dad had a slide machine. Actually, still does own the slide machine. That was an old thing when I was a little kid. And so by 1990, very few people would be like watching a slideshow at home, but it fits for the tone.
First, you have to have your photos converted to slides,
right? And people weren't doing that by 1990, people weren't turning their photos into slides anymore.
What did they call those? Like the Polaroid had like a full carousel thing. I can't remember. I think Mad Men even talked about that shit. Wasn't that like a part of the product they had to advertise on Mad Men?
Yeah, I believe it was. Oh, the carousel, the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's the episode name of the episode. By the way, did I tell you, like, several years ago now, my dad gave me a bunch of slides to have converted. Now, again, these are well before my time. My sister and brother are much older than me, so they're in these pictures, but I don't exist yet. This is like New
yeah.
York in the '60s, and it was amazing because my dad is full Mad Menning, like clean shaven,
Yeah.
young, suited businessman. I was like, oh,
Just
like him
as,
and my mom, they look like
just
together. It's
having
like,
his fucking 4 martini lunch,
that's right.
which Durant provided, by the way. He's
Trying
like, hey,
to
you want a martini? Yeah.
trying to hide his secret real identity, all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and I think we're almost done here as far as what I want to say. But like another really silly part of the movie that, again, very Raimi, but like in the midst of this really cool looking action shots involving helicopters and the stuntman hanging from the hook going through the city, the cops show up in their own copters, and he's like, "Stay away from him. He's mine." And like, first of all, can they hear him? Like, what is going on? Like, who's he yelling at? Like, does he not think the cops are going to show up? And they're just gonna he's like, no way, dude, he's Darkman's, like
This one's for Darkman.
This one's for Darkman. But yeah, that's very silly too.
Well, yeah,
again,
like the movie goes really big. I mean, not that the earlier parts don't have it too, as he's screaming about being a freak, but yeah, near the end, obviously it leans into that fully, and especially with Strack. I keep wanting to say Stack too. Strack, I built it all. Oh, I also love the insult. You're going down, Burnhead.
Yeah.
Again,
it just feels made up on the set, and that's Raimi said it's call him Burnhead.
But it also it is one of these things where, and this again, I think Raimi will get out of. I mean, we're going to talk about some movies where he definitely gets out of it. This is a movie where every line you could hear Bruce Campbell delivering, right?
Sure,
it's like it's like
oh yeah, like
you're going down, Burnhead.
Yeah.
It's like all these things are things that he would. I really liked by the way, when he does the mission, when he Mission Impossible 2's first, when the real guy with the long hair, who I mentioned earlier, was the cackling one. It's a nice reversal because he walks up and is all freaked out, and then Darkman has long hair, has a crazy smile on his face.
Well, he studied them. He took a lot of photos, and yeah, I wonder. I didn't see the sequels, so you can speak to them.
No, I haven't seen them either.
Which is to say, like, I don't know if the technology gets better, like if he figures out a way to make it last longer than 99 minutes, or if he finds other things you can do with it, or if it just remains the same and that's the gimmick. But yeah, I don't know if he does perfect it, because it seems like he could. It's also silly when he's wearing his glasses with his Darkman makeup on. The Darkman makeup is also cool. The fact that he does look kind of gross and hideous. Like, they could have made him look scarred in a more heroic way. Like the way that, like, remember obviously the Kristen Crook Beauty and the Beast TV show where the Beast had one like line on his face.
Right.
He was an Abercrombie like model.
Yeah.
And like
I'm hideous.
I'm hideous. Don't look at me. But here, like, Darkman is a test for the true monster fuckers out there, which is like, he's got no lips, dude.
No. I remember he was on the cover of Fangoria without the bandages to like show the full. Tony Gardner, we should mention, is one of the main makeup guys who would go on to do all the later Chucky movies and TV series stuff. I mean, he has a million credits. I also noticed.
So he'd work with Jenny Agutter again. Yes.
He would. No, actually, he. This was still the Kevin Yeager era. This is the same year as Child's Play 2. By the same year as Child's Play 2. Yeah, the universal monsters of it all, the fact that he is actually super deformed, that is great. By the way, it makes me nostalgic to see the Universal 75th anniversary opening, which was only for 1 year, but was very prevalent on like Back to the Future 3 and a bunch of things I was watching at this point. I'm sure Raimi loved it because it includes the classic Universal logo, that the same one they use for Wicked, that's like the glass planet orb going around. But yeah, really cool with I mentioned like Raimi leaning into it with the organs playing, and the tragic monster of it all. This was the same year that Elfman, again, who was doing so much, would also score Nightbreed. So he's doing other sympathetic monsters.
All of these you can find also on Music from a Darkened Theater, which was a cassette I owned.
Certainly.
So the end of the movie, she, he doesn't destroy the Belisarius Memorandum. He kidnaps Julie. He finds out Peyton's still alive, wants to kill him because he doesn't like loose ends. And then after everything, he's like, Julie, I can't be with you. I'm a monster now. I've changed too much. I am the Night. I am Darkman. I am everywhere. I feel like she should be like, oh, did you have to kill my new boyfriend? Like, I don't know.
You're like, kind of leaving me with nothing.
You literally could have just left me alone. Like, what happened in this movie? Like,
actually, so you're reminding me that going way back to the beginning, that I do think it's funny that the movie, and maybe it's a testament to the power of Larry Troika's Durant, who again would play this character multiple times. It is funny that the whole cold open, the pre-titles open, is all about the rise of Durant.
Yeah,
it's like not about Darkman or how he'll become
Strack.
Yeah. It's just like, look at Durant and his guys.
Look at Durant and his cigar cutter and the fingers, and that's it. Yeah. Look at all these nunchucks.
And then Darkman's just gonna fuck it all up.
Yeah.
The only last things I need to say, well, I wanted to mention just that again, Raimi point of view shots. I love it so much. The point of views of everything. We mentioned the inside the cabinets. I also like that the giant, crazy, oversized nail gun. We get some point of view shots, of course. Things hurtling. He will, to this day, he will love to do point of view shots. And then just to talk about the modern, if there'll ever be a new Darkman movie, and I don't know if you know, Matt, how much Josh Rubin, director of Werewolves Within and Heart Eyes, desperately wants to make. It's like Darkman's like his favorite thing, and he is very open about pitching himself. He will mention it constantly that he wants to do Darkman. He did the commentary on the disc I have a couple years ago, just like as a fan. And he did get to pitch it to Universal. And this
is like the casting. You got Devon Sawa as Peyton Westlake. You've got Bruce Campbell as Louis Strack Sr. And then I don't know who Durant would be. It'll be fun. Well, maybe Durant is gender swapped.
Well, Josh Rubin did, after Universal did not go forward on his pitch, not to say they'll never will. He basically posted what his plot was, and it was a legacy sequel, but it was good. But it was going to be again, there's different kinds of legacy sequels. This would be one of those where it takes a while to get to Liam Neeson, because it was going to be about a female protagonist who, in a city where Darkman has been gone for decades, but this all happened. And what happened to Darkman, but now he's back, but he seems to have lost it and is like killing people. And he revealed it all, so I can reveal it, that the ultimate reveal would be she is Peyton and Julie's daughter, and that there is a copycat Darkman.
All right.
Who is Strack's son.
Nice.
And leading to real Darkman returning by the third
way,
act. Yeah.
Provided you can't get Neeson and McDormand back, I bet you could get Vosloo.
You can definitely get Vosloo. So there you go.
Sadly, you cannot get Larry Drake back.
But yes, as a fan of Josh Rubin's films, I hope he gets to make his dream Darkman one day, because he's very
Dream
funny.
Darkman, Dream. I hope that's what it's called.
Well, it's Marty Supreme is Dream Big, right, in the trailer. So Dream Big Darkman.
Darkman versus Army of Darkness versus Marty Supreme. All right.
Oh, that comic book would be so good.
We have The Quick and the Dead is next. Yes.
Yes. Which will be another. It'll be a shift, but we'll talk about it. I mean,
not that big a shift.
Not that big. Again, we're gonna get
still
into
very
shifts.
comic booky.
We're gonna get into bigger shifts, but no, I really enjoyed Darkman, and especially, I mean, I guess knowing the behind the scenes battles this movie went through, it's impressive that it A, turned out has a fun movie, and B, was a success, because it seemed
and C was like, with all of the stuff coming down from Universal and disapproving of this and that, and then they're like, we want more Darkman, because guess what speaks? Money.
Yeah. And we'll talk about, I mean, we'll mention this again, I'm sure, next week.
I feel like Louis Strack knows that, and his bed full of gold coins.
I want to see that scene. I think they said something funny about someone turning and saying, this scene's not going to be in the movie. I'm like, why? Why not? Well, we'll talk about this again, but the fact that he'll do Army of Darkness next. So he'll go back to Evil Dead after this. But this, again, he is now in the studio realm with Darkman. And I think even with everything it went through, even with everyone saying this is totally bizarre, like you said, money talks, and so he is now seen as like someone that can work within this system, as quirky as he is. And we'll talk about the Quick and the Dead next.
We'll talk about the Quick and the Dead and his first sort of like, I don't know. I'd say it's a bigger movie. Like maybe not.
Oh, but he's working. He's
like
working with established movie stars.
With like big stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Oscar winners at this point. So, all right. Until next time, when we'll do Quick and the Dead, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!